Hey, and welcome. This is your girl, JQ. You're listening to Valley Sounds on 89.3 Huntsville. I'm super ecstatic and excited to finally have my boy in the studio with me, y'all. Shoo! Y'all do not understand how excited I am to sit down with this fella. He's been to a few of our Valley Sounds production meetings, and I've heard his sound, and Remy, you're pretty good, bro. You're pretty good.
Thank you.
I just want to know about Remy.
Okay.
What's your favorite color?
Red.
What's your favorite food?
Anything from the Latin cuisine. Doesn't matter. Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, just all of it.
If you could have one place to travel and make music, where would it be?
Germany.
Why?
The culture, the food. I know a lot of people who have gone there and not one person has said anything negative. In fact, most of them come back saying, I want to move to Germany.
I can imagine they do. You know, I grew up there, and so I love the European culture, especially the German culture. The food is freaking amazing, and the people are just so open to diverse, and they try different things, so I can imagine why people really love European culture, and especially German. How did you get your name? Where'd you come up with it?
My name. That's my name.
Like, that's your real name? Like your
The
birth?
world will never know, will it?
Come on, you can share the secret with us. You can share it with us.
So, Remy is my name. It's my stage name, my real name, my adopted name. I'm not really adopted. So Remy is actually an abbreviation of my name, which I keep secret so that on days when I'm not feeling it, Remy is and can go out and entertain and connect with people in such a way that perhaps when you're depressed or sad, you can't really connect as easily. So it gives me a character that's based on myself.
That's kind of interesting because there are a lot of artists that do a stage name, a surname, something totally different from what their real name is. And so many of them say the same thing. It's because they get to get out of themselves and get into the actual artist.
Into the music, into the artistry. And I like entertaining. I like performing, not just to be a singer-songwriter or just this. I like the whole aspect, the costumes, the lights, because I think those really affect the experience of music in addition to the songs themselves too.
How did you find yourself becoming a music lover?
My whole life I've loved music. Like at the age of 3, there's terrible videos floating around somewhere of me singing Tammy Wynette. Ooh, my southern came out bad just then. And just singing with the remote and then just going through and experiencing music. And then when I got older, I got into theater and really enjoyed that aspect and eventually moved to New York to pursue that. And I got to do that for a long time. And it was really fun until it wasn't.
I know how that is. I'm a theater girl too, so.
Right, and I still would go back and do some shows, but for the most part, I much prefer the connection that happens when you get to do your own music versus the same show 8 times a week like a robot. It brings people together.
What's your next big move in Huntsville? What's your next big thing you're doing, your next big project outside of, an album and your new song that you're working on?
So yeah, that is my next goal. It is this next EP. I'm not doing albums until I have a much larger fan base. I think it's kind of a dying art form, unfortunately, unless you do have a large fan base. But EPs and singles, so that's what I'm working on right now. Is that project? I usually don't like to tell people my next move. I like to show them what I just did, but
I can show you. I'm down with that. Most definitely. What's your favorite song on your album right now?
Breathe Out and Shadow.
Shadow. Why Shadow? I know why Breathe Out. You just told us about, the whole movement of how it came about. But why Shadow? What's going on with that?
So Shadow is, so I had a producer for this album named Kristen Ford.
Oh, shout out to Kristen.
Yeah, Kristen Ford.
Whoop, whoop.
She's terrific. Love her to death. She played at a place that I work here in town, and I met her and was just feeling really gutsy one day and emailed. I saw on her website that she was producing, so I just sent her an email. Hey, you don't remember me? I was at your, I booked you for this place. Would you produce my album? I sent her a really awful recording of Breathe Out via the phone, and she heard it and was like, okay. So we started this process, and Shadow was actually one that she had written, and it was one of those songs where I heard the lyrics and completely related. I just really connected to every single line and sat down at the piano and made my own version of it. And our first meeting, we sat down, I played it for her. I was so nervous. And after it, she was crying, and she stood up and was like, that's yours, you can sing this song. Like, congrats. Here's Shadow.
That is awesome. That's got to be a great feeling too, especially when someone else writes the lyrics and then you get to attach the music, and then the person who wrote the song loves what you did.
Yeah,
it's like,
it was
oh wow,
overwhelming, just electrifying to.
When you put together this CD that you have out like right now,
yeah,
how did you? What made it? Seems like it's a story CD. Is it a story?
I am always story driven. Even within shows, I like to tell a story, and if it's not a literal story, at least a journey of a feeling or emotion. And this one definitely had that as well.
Is it a journey that you experienced yourself, or are you telling it from first person someone else's story, or is it a narrative?
So it's a combination. It's part personal and then part story from a different person's point of view. When I first moved back from New York, it was not the greatest move back. It was very traumatizing. I broke my ankle, and in that process spent several months alone, having to really sit with myself and think and unbury some things that I had dealt with in my childhood that I had kind of suppressed, and then the realization that I was worthy of a much greater love than what I was giving myself. And so this individual who was living with me at the time to help pay rent basically sold all of my ex's belongings when I was at physical therapy. That was being stored at my apartment. And when I got back, this individual was like, yeah, you need to move on. They have, and there was a piano sitting there. And so that was the process of starting to teach myself how to play piano. And eventually, New York just was not where I felt the love anymore. I wanted to leave. So then I moved to Gatlinburg and stayed there for a while until I eventually moved back home. And so that's kind of the story. That also on the album artwork, you'll notice there's lots of sacred geometry and nature, which was kind of what this process was. When I moved back home, I moved out to Somerville because I still wanted some alone time. I wanted to really go out into the country a little bit. And that's where I wrote Breathe Out for the first time. I was sitting on the porch. A thunderstorm was rolling in. It was hot summer, and the crickets were just going crazy. And I just kind of had the realization that people aren't permanent, and things in life aren't permanent, and that's the beauty of it, learning how to let go of those things and move forward. And so that was the whole spin-off for the rest of the album.
When you are not doing music, what do you do?
What do I do when I'm not doing music? Oh, that's a tough one. Because I find I'm very one-minded right now as far as what my goals are. So if it's not music, then I guess I'm looking into new lighting design techniques or set designs or costumes and new ways of using loop pedals. I'm still new with music, so I'm still, well, not singing, but playing piano, so I'm still always trying to figure out new ways to make it sound better.
Do you think you'll ever get back into drama, stage, scene, movies, film from the actor's side, or do you think you're kind of moving towards music, scoring, writing for dramas,
I
films?
I'm a gypsy soul, so I follow where my soul is taking me. Right now, it's definitely music. I do think within music, acting is a big part of it. I act a lot when I sing because I enjoyed the story process. That's how I'm writing a lot of my newer stuff too. Less from first person, more as a story that I'm trying to tell. A character, if you will. Each album will be a character. Um, but I definitely would not turn down the opportunity to act in a movie or on stage or compose a musical, or I'm open to different creative outlets because I think that's the fun part about being in entertainment.
Tell me about your creative process. I mean, I hear your music, I hear your words, I hear the beats, and I know that you pretty much do all of that. And so, like, when you're sitting down and you're saying to yourself, Remy, I want to write a song, what happens?
Absolutely nothing. When I sit down and tell myself that, nothing happens. I force the creative process out because I start overanalyzing and stressing. My process is unique. I've only been playing piano 4 years now, and it's still very new to me and refreshing to experience music without knowing too much theory because I hear it and then play. So it's still very much a soul experience at this time as I continue to learn more theory. I will say drums. I learned drums growing up. And so I usually start with a beat first. I find it easier to start with the beat and then build chords based around the lyrics. So it's usually a beat, the lyrics, and then the chords. And my musical theater shows a lot too because I enjoy when the chords are accentuating what the lyrics are saying, which is very typical, I think, for theater and film and things of that nature. So
Yeah, I do notice that when I hear your music, the lyrics, well, excuse me, the actual music tends to dramatize the lyrics. And it does literally match. I imagine that when you're writing and you're feeling and you're deciding what music to match, the lyrics, like you said, come after you actually write the music.
Yeah, so like a lot of the times vowels. I'll hear very specific vowel sounds that I want to end on, especially if it's a longer held note or the ending of a phrase. Like I'll just be then out of nowhere an ooh sound or an ea or an ah, and then that from there I'll be like, oh, okay, this is what needs to go here. Like there's a new one that's in the process of being recorded called Through the Night, and it started when I first got a loop pedal. And I just was playing around with these sounds, and I was like, oh, this is a cool sound. That was like a pizzicato string. And I just kept like going over and over, and then I just heard this melody, didn't know any lyrics to it, but out of nowhere I just heard night. And I was like, night, okay. So then from there, Through the Night occurred from this one vowel sound that transformed into the word night, which then led into an actual song.
Wow, that's awesome. I've never met anyone that does the creative process in that manner, but I can understand it because drama, you like to feel and imagine and understand, and you really get your creative process from the feeling instead of necessarily what it means. So are you a collaborative spirit, or do you prefer doing it all by yourself?
I love collaboration. I think you get the best stuff when you collaborate because I'm only one individual with only one perspective. And so I enjoy songs. A lot of people, not a lot, but there's some people who say that I like the idea of selling out when it comes to music. And that's not necessarily the case. I just like making music that everyone can relate to as easily as possible because I think that's a very healing process to life is music. Every person can come together. You don't hear accents when people sing or languages like this summer, all those Spanish songs.
If someone was just stepping into the music industry or was trying to, do something they love, what would be a good piece of advice that you could leave them and to propel them forward?
just do it. Just figure it out. The only thing that's stopping you is yourself. I tell myself that all the time. I constantly stop the process because I think I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as other people. I haven't been doing it long enough, but it's just literally just wake up every day, try something new, and, you know, quit striving for perfection. You're never going to succeed if you're trying to be perfect. Just try to learn something new every day.
Learn something new every day. Stop trying to be perfect and just do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Those are like 3 pieces of advice that I'm always telling people that. Even like you said, I have to look in the mirror at myself and tell myself that like quite often. My last question is, if you could have any animal as a pet in the world, other than a dog or a cat, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a hard one. There's like a few. I'd love a penguin. I think that would be a fun, random little thing to have.
A penguin? I've never had anybody say penguin, and that would be really cool.
Like, they're so precious.
They are really, really cute.
That or like a chimpanzee or something like that. Those are cool little animals.
The number one answer I do get is chimpanzees and tigers. I've never had anyone say a penguin before. So that's unique. That's unique. That puts you out there. You're really different, you know. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm really glad I got a chance to talk with you face to face. You know, your music sounds just what you look like, just like your real personality. You're diverse. You're unique. Your music is definitely original. Your sound is original. And I encourage you to keep doing what you do. You know, keep encouraging feelings and adding drama to your music, because there are not a lot of millennials and culture and music of this day and age that is really attaching original drama music and putting it out there in the world.
Yeah. My whole mission statement is to make music that moves people.
Ooh, music that moves. Wow.
Physically or emotionally, it's moving you somehow.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Reiterate that. It's music that moves you.
Music that moves you, and that's your mission.
That's
and you
my
are
mission.
definitely accomplishing with that mission, bruh. Let me tell you, you are definitely doing it. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to leave you with, let's do Shadow today.
Okay.
Let's do Shadow. Hey, this is your girl JQ, and you're listening to Valley Sounds on 89.3 Huntsville. Thanks for listening.